Throughout these videos, we've become familiar with many of the buttons on the Visualisations pane in Power BI. But there are people out there who are continually creating add-ins for Power BI, some custom visuals. What you may notice on the Visualisations pane is a button called Get More Visuals, and if you click it, you can choose Get More Visuals again. There are a whole lot of visuals that are being delivered by people out there, and what we can do is search for anything in particular. Like I could search for infographics, which is one that I have used for a while now. If I choose infographics, I then get a little bit of a rundown on what this custom visual does, and if I click add, I'm able to add it to my Visualisations pane. It will take a little while, but it will eventually bring up a little message and say import successful, and I'll go OK, and there it is there. I could right click it and pin it to my Visualisations pane, and so it's part of my Visualisations pane now sitting here instead of sitting a little bit below. If I unpin it, then it sits down here. So how do we use the infographic designer? It's very good for charts, particularly column charts or bar charts. I'm going to start by first of all making a copy of one of our pages, net and freight. I'll right click and I'll duplicate this page. What I then want to do is just simply call it timeline, and I might even call the text box timeline. Now I need to get rid of all the visuals on this page except for the text box and probably the back button. I'll leave that as well. So we've got a page here that I now want to add an infographic to. So I select my infographic designer button and this appears. And so I'm just going to move it, stretch it out, and here's my chart. Now I decide what I want to use as my category, my legend, my measure, my columns, rows, etc. So let's just say we grab the category name and drop it into category. And let's just say we grab net sales and drop that into our measure. So here I'm seeing effectively a clustered column chart showing me the amount of net sales by category. Now I want to actually hit this little button which edits the mark. And I'm going to insert an image, and I'll upload an image I have, which is just for, say, dairy. And there's my little cow. And so basically it's put a little cow on each of my bars. But the cow is really just for dairy. So now I'm going to click this little button to turn the data binding off. By turning the data binding off, I can now hit this drop down and choose category name. If I scroll down, I can now see that I can assign a unique image to each category. So beverages, for example, I'll hit this drop down and I'll upload my picture for beverages. I'll click on the beverage and then I will choose the next one. So I'll go to meat and poultry, I'll upload, I'll choose my meat picture and open, double click that. Then I will go to confection, upload my confection picture, click on that. Then I will go to seafood, upload my seafood picture, open that, click on it. And then condiments, upload, condiment, open, click on my condiment. And lastly, produce and grains, go to produce, upload my produce picture, open, click on produce, and go for the drop down on grains and cereals, upload, choose my cereal, open, choose that, and I've done a picture for each one. If I then click away or close this, I should get a picture for each one. I'm not. So I'm going to go back into my edit mark and complete the process by clicking apply. That's the trick for young players, is the apply button. Some of the other options you may consider is once you've gone apply, you can go back and further down here, for example, you can have multiple units. I can turn that on. And so Then I'll go up here and multiple units, amount and column is another option, but I'll just go row and column. I might also choose to use a custom color such as white. And okay, so they get more contrast. Other options, keep ratio might turn that on, so that sort of keeps the ratio, and compact the units on or off. Just play with the various options. Fill direction is down, top down, auto, that's fine. But play with different options and just see what you like. I might choose compact, custom color, fill percentage, set of some. You can choose a percentage sort of fill, but I'll choose none there. Per row, I might choose 2. And so that's 2 per row, or put it back to 1. So experiment with the various options. Row count, that's fine. Multiple units. So I quite like that infographics option, and so I'm going to close it just with the X at the top, and that's one of the custom visuals that you can add in. Now another one that you can add in that you might like the look of is what they call para timeline. So let's have a look at this. I'll go to my get more visuals. I'll search for timeline, and in my timeline I should have para timeline. There it is there, so I'll click that. I'll then go add to add that in, and it will appear, and I'll go OK that it was successful. I'll insert the para timeline, and there it is there. And with my para timeline, what I'd like to do is add date to the date field. So I'll go up to my date table, grab date and add it to the date field. What this is it's a very user-friendly timeline that will affect the visuals on this page. For example, if I just wanted to see this year, this month, last year, last month, or reset, I could do that. If I just wanted to see a year or a quarter or a month or a week or a day, I can influence these here. If I go for month, for example, I can even set a start and an end month here. But if I'm only interested in, say, August 2022, there's August 2022 and there's June 2022, just click it. Or you can stretch it. That's August, September and October. There is April, May, June. So you can choose a range or a specific month. And you can scroll this way and scroll that way. I could go for year and say, look, I just want to see 2021. Or stretch it. So 2021, or if I go year and go year, there's 2019, year, and then 2021, or stretch it again and see a range. So it's a way, and reset to take it back if you wanted to. You could see a week, week 4, week 5, just a little bit of a delay. If I haven't got any data, then I see no data, and then again stretch it, or day if I wanted day information, and so you can scroll right across to somewhere where there is actually something on that day or on that day. It can just take a little while to react sometimes. Yeah. So that's another custom add-in, para timeline, another timeline visual that you may find useful. Have a look. Go into get more visuals. You might want a calendar, for example. So you would search for calendar. Have a look at the various visuals. They are constantly changing, adding more and more, and build those into your Power BI file. See you in the next video. Now there are a few tricks that you can apply to your page, your report pages, to make them aesthetically pleasing that you need to know about. one of the first things I'd say to you is ensure there's a consistency in the height and the width and the alignment and the placing of your visuals. So for example, I'm looking at this particular visual here and I'm thinking, what is the height and the width of that particular object? So I go to the visualization pane, I go to general and I go to properties, and I can see the height is 200 and the width is 200. I'm thinking that I would like the height and width to maybe be 190. So 190, 190. So I'm then going to click on each, holding the shift key, each visual I want to affect. I'll go into format, I'll go into, now it's not going to let me do that because of the scorecard. So I'll click off the scorecard, go to general, go to properties and set the height to 190, even though it shows it, I need to type it, and the width to 190. So it consistently makes them 190. But I look at this and I think, it's not wide enough for this particular table. So maybe we'll make the width 195, enter. And that's enough. The scroll bar is gone. So then I'll click on the scorecard and I'll go to general and I'll make it 190 and 195. So they're consistent. So think about the height and width of things. Then what I want to do is place this about here and place this one about here. So there's sort of the gap here and the gap here is basically the same. Now if I hold the shift key, I should be able to click on each one of these visuals. This one, hold the shift, this one, and this one. And what I want to do is make them equidistant. So we go to format, we go to align, and we distribute horizontally. And so horizontally, they're perfectly spaced. But then we also go to align and align maybe to the bottom. And so they're all sitting equally spaced and towards the bottom. Now what we don't want is any borders around these because they're too hard. So I see there's a border around the scorecard. So I'm going to format this visual. I'm going to go to call out label. Maybe if I search for border. Here is the visual border and I'm turning it off. When I click away, there is no longer a border there. Okay, so now what I want to do, instead of doing a border, let me just get these charts down and out of the way for the moment. I want to put a white area around the back of each of those visuals. White space or negative space makes it really easy to sort of see things. And so for this, I'm going to go to Insert, choose Shapes, choose a rectangle, and there it is there. I'll go into General, I'll set its properties. Now the other ones were 190 and 195. Let's go to 190 plus 10 plus 10. Yeah, let's go 210. And let's go 215. Let's then also go to the shape and change the shape color or style to white. So there it is there. That doesn't look wide enough. General. Oh, 215. That should have been. Now, it's also got a border. I don't want it to have a border. So let's just go in here and type line. Didn't find it. Border. There's the border. Let's say no, there's no border around that. So it's just a straight white. What I would like to do is maybe put a shadow. So if I go to style and I go to shadow, I could put a shadow on. But I might make the shadow a grey. And I might make it really small, so 10 points. And that is what I'd like. Then I'm going to drag this and pop it on top of this visual. I'm going to go to format and I'm going to send it to the back. Might take a little while to wake up. But there you can see it's sitting behind that now. And you can click on it and just arrow it over a little bit. All right, now I'm going to duplicate this. Control C, Control V. V, because I need 3. I'll put this one here. I'll pop this one here using my red alignment lines to line things up. And this one over here a bit. And then I'll send it to the back. That one, shift, that one, format, send to the back. And click away. Then it's just a little bit of a tweak. So this little white, I'm just going to move it over a bit. Or back a bit. Until I'm happy with it. But you can see already that it's looking better by not having borders and just by having a white rectangle with a little bit of shadow sitting behind each of the visuals. And once you get one sort of in the right place, you can be happy with the others, because the others you can just get them to line up to the top and through the center, line up through the top and through the center, line up through the top and through the center. So then I know it's perfectly placed. And then repeat that for the other 2 objects on the page. And already things are starting to look a lot tidier. Now the other thing is the edges of your visuals. If you look at your phone, you'll notice that most of the icons have rounded edges. And so I'd really like to see that happen with these white rectangles that sit behind these visuals. Click on that and shape. Let's go for 10. I'm just experimenting with different. So that's 10, and I think that looks good. So I'm going to click now on this shape here, and I'm going to go to shape, rounded, and 10. And that's that there. Now the other thing to consider is whether you need a white background behind each of these or just one big white background. I'm thinking I'm going to get rid of this white background here, delete, and this one, because that's one option, but I think I would like to get rid of it behind each of these. And I'll grab this one that's sitting behind the scorecard, and I'm going to stretch it out so it sits behind all of these, and use your red lines. And then I'll go into the shape and I'll set this to 10 and decide if that looks better. So we've got a rounded edge now sitting behind all 4 objects. And you may decide that this maybe should have a little bit of a border so that it sort of ties in with the table. Now if you're having trouble working with parts as well, you've got your selection pane. Let me just close my visualizations, bring up my selection. When you click on your selection pane, you can click on an object and it tells you who it is. So here's the card here, if I want to use the card. And it just makes it easy to select a certain object. And I will bring it down a little bit, up a little bit, just so it looks in keeping with the others, in a little bit, so it works with this one here. And then I will go into visualization, format, go looking or searching for border, and turn that on. That's the headers. And set that to a dark grey, maybe there. And just have a look at that. Yeah, give it a rounded edge. I think it needs it. So 4. And give it a 10. And so if I look at that, collapse that, I've got sort of like a dark grey border around the outside with soft round edges, and I think that looks better. Now the other thing to consider besides borders and shadows and having that white negative space is also the formatting of the title. I am just going to make that slightly bigger, 28, and in fact Control A to select all. Let's just go 20. And the other thing is I don't want it to have a border or a background. I just really want it to blend with the actual report. So I'm happy with just that. I might move it over a little bit. And then the other consideration, and you may want to move all of these, you can just drag around and sort of lasso them and then use the down arrow and move them down, especially when things are getting really busy. So I'm just down arrowing and creating sort of an even space between the title, this group and this group. So spacing, equal spacing is important. And the other thing is the color of the background. If I click on the background of the report canvas and I go into my visualizations and I go to format, I can choose a canvas background, choose a color, and I might go for more colors. And the color choice I'd like to make really is really a personal thing. So I'm going to choose a very soft purple, and I might increase the transparency, maybe 75 or 77 is fine, and collapse that and collapse that. And so see, we've got a much better looking report page, and then carry those tricks through to the other pages. And that's why in this series of videos, so many times I just duplicated a page that I already had and then made adjustments. And if you've laid everything out beautifully and then you duplicate that page, it's going to save you having to repeat this every single time. So think about that as well. Now, ultimately, we want to publish this particular report to our Power BI service so that we can see it on our phones and other devices. So on the Home tab, you have got a Publish button. And yes, I want to save my Power BI, so let's do that. And then I choose which workspace I want to publish it to. So I might just go My Workspace, but you choose which one and then select. And basically it takes a moment and it will publish that to the Power BI service, and I just let it do its thing. Once it's done, I can open it in the Power BI service, and if I bring that into view, here we are here, and I can actually see my reports and my pages down the side, pages in my report I can see, and I can then choose to share that with others if I wanted to. I have also got the ability to share it here. I can move between the pages here and just work with the pages in my report. If I make some more changes to my Power BI desktop version of the Power BI file, I just republish it to the same location and it'll update it. And then I'll press X and get out of there. I can also get Quick Insights by hitting this option here, and Quick Insights is actually really good. It's real AI at work, where it actually looks at your data and makes some suggestions as to how you could present the data, and I quite like some of the suggestions that it comes up with. And so here are some ideas about how you could present data in your Power BI file. Have a look at them and then go about putting those into practice to really make it an interesting dashboard. So I'm going to close that and got that. And well, that's the last in a collection of videos that accompanies our Microsoft Power BI Reports and Visualizations Part 2 course. I really hope you've enjoyed these videos, and if you've got a moment, if you could like and or subscribe, we'd really appreciate it. Have a look at our other content, and we'll be constantly bringing you new content. My name is Kathy Barker from Software Solutions. Thank you very much. Kia ora, ka kite. Ciao.